Hello, everybody. You guys, I'm so excited. It's too comical because I feel like I'm a broken record. Every time I come on, I say, I'm so excited. Life is exciting. Oh my gosh. So, I have a beautiful special guest today for a number of reasons. One is that ever since I've met Kitty Foss, her and I have just had this really interesting magical relationship, and we keep tapping into the energy of it and sharing space around it. And it's really interesting how when stuff comes up with her, stuff comes up with me, and when stuff comes up with me, stuff comes up with her. And it's like we are so consciously aware of where we're at or where we may be at in the energies. And as the things are coming, it's amazing how Kitty and I can come together and have these beautiful, empowering conversations. And so I really wanted to bring her on to give you guys the opportunity to speak with her, give you guys the opportunity to hear what she has to say, because she's such a powerhouse. She's really informed about astrological aspects, about creating birth charts, about doing monthly charts, all sorts of things. And having said that, uh, like I say, I've known Kitty probably for maybe, I'm guessing maybe 5 years, kind of not so much 5 years ago, but in the last 2 years, our energy has really been, I'm not going to say colliding, because it's been weaving together in this beautiful, magical way. And without really any further ado, I'm going to bring her on so she can tell you a little bit of her story. Hi, Kitty.
Hi. That was a great introduction. Thank you.
Short and sweet and to the point, right? So yeah, maybe kind of, like I know you have this beautiful name for me, and I love that name, and I love how it makes me feel with that. So maybe let's start with a little bit of who you are. And when I say the astrological person, I really have no idea where to go from there with that, because astrology is so broad. So let's hone that in, and maybe you can just give us a little bit of information about yourself.
Sure, thanks. Ooh, I'm by myself. So, yeah, I started doing actually astrology when I was in my late 20s. But I used it privately, and it's kind of funny that I have come into this in this last year, about 2.5 years. Sandra and I have known each other really well, and she's right. It is that astrological energy that works with her amazing skills, and I call her the Galactic Shaman. And that actually came during a reading, looking at her chart, and it was. I do read people's energies. I use the structure of the astrological chart to talk about how the energies work together, how you had a conversation, and these were things that you picked to come in and work with, and ideas of where these things appear in your life. And I was working with Sandra, and it was just so clear looking at it. I also am very fortunate that I have guides that come and talk to me while I'm doing this, sometimes rather loudly because they want me to stop mid-sentence and tell you something. But they were very clear. She's a galactic shaman. She has this ability. She walks in many of those dimensions. And so I just started using it privately for myself in my 20s, and I was a secret astrologer. I was secretly looking at stars and secretly looking at those energies. And then as I really began to look at my own awakening, I looked at the fact that even in my own chart, structures, archetypes help me connect to other information that I receive. And so I work with folks' charts, looking at the immediate energies, their energies and relationships, what they came in with, and have begun to expand it even more to the more global energies and helping you weave those in. I'm not a global astrologer. There are some amazing people out there that I follow, but what I do is I help look at what is this happening out here. Here's my layer, here's the layer that's all of us, and how are they in these dynamic conversations. And one of the things I've really come to understand is that we are in a dynamic conversation at all times. Our 3D, more dense bodies are here to help us use that soul energy and have a conversation for our learning. And we've chosen this vessel to have that. And it's a dynamic. It's not a, I learn this and then I go. It's always going back and forth. So it's been a absolutely amazing journey for me looking at the stars.
I love that. I know one of those famous names that you kind of alluded to, and in all reality, like I know very little about some of the famous ones that you may be aware of, but I believe you're going to be famous in your own right because of your natural ability to tap into the energy of the stars, and
Oh,
what you bring in in the monthly, like the natal chart for myself answered some super incredible questions that in the moment I didn't even realize I had until I heard the information. And then it was like all these pieces of the puzzle dropped in and came together. And that was beautiful.
I
So go
I
ahead.
want you to know that because of your reading, and that is something that I was told, and it's been absolutely true in a soul reading I had. The more structure I work with other people, the more I'm able to channel. We're walking each other home, that's what we do, and get more information. And from your reading, I added to everyone now. I say, I don't want to know what your question is, but think of what your questions are so the guides can bring them to me energetically, how that works. And I would say 99%, I'll see somebody go, oh, that was my question, or at the end, yes, you answered my question, because they're here to help us too, and and it helps me guide as I'm looking at your energy, what it is you need to know and at the place you are.
Beautiful. Now I know we have a topic that we're going to go towards, so let me kind of step us in that direction. First of all, tell us just in a little synopsis, what is intuition of the soul? That's the IOTS that you see by her name there. What is intuition of the soul?
Intuition of the Soul is a Facebook group. It's also on YouTube, and it is designed with my partner Amy Salisbury Martin to have a platform where people can come, and it's a free platform. It's a give back to begin with. Come and learn and experience as they awaken. That's safe. Was our biggest concentration. Needed to be safe and allow you to experiment. We bring speakers on, including our wonderful friend here. It's opposite. I have to go opposite here. And they come and they share their expertise, and it just gives you a little taste. And often we have a lot of people that have crossed platforms, Sandra and I, or you might decide that this is a person you want healing with. Down the road, we want Intuition of the Soul to be a hub where you can come and find those kinds of folks. And we do a vibe of the week. We have a spirit communication practice on Tuesday nights. We're doing a book club. It's an active site where you join and have a good time, but experience your spirituality.
Okay, and then there's a little bit of something else that you have been doing for some time now that some people might be interested in, and that's that beautiful optimize your energy with the moon and stars. What's that about?
So, because I am an energetic astrologer, and I was working with another partner who does a lot work with manifestation and intention setting, working with the phases of the moon, we decided that putting them together, having people really look at their own chart. It's not to teach people to be astrologists, but it's to teach them to use their own archetypes, their own energy, and really pull beyond a reading that I might do and learn to read their own charts and how to use it, and especially use it with manifesting each month with where the moon is, the energy that's actually extra available for you. And that's important because it's not that you can't manifest, but if you know what other information there and you're aware, your ability to synchronize things and understand things and use it where the conversations are happening allows it to expand and multiply your manifestation. So
I know I am truly always in awe when I see somebody quoting, the House of Value or the Rising Sun or something, and it always just seems to bring in another level of awareness in the spiritual conversation and in our life path, really starting to understand what our life path is. So if somebody was interested in the optimize your energy with the moon and stars, what's offered?
it's a paid membership. It's at the moment $55 a month. It is excuse me, it is a overall view of the month, and then we look specifically at the new moon is where you set intentions, and we look at the full moon, which is where you let go, give forgiveness, give gratitude. We also look at what planets are involved that month that might help you to become aware. And then there's also a teaching component. Like last month we did the South Node, And next month is the North Node, because there's a big switch in the world's energies. And the North Node, by the way, is your soul's highest purpose, and your South Node is what you're learning to let go of, the fears and the energy vibrations that aren't working for you. And so each month we do an additional piece that's much more in depth, and it usually is related to if there's something astrological going on that month. And we meet, so it's 2 to 3 meetings a week, and then we have a month, and we have an open Zoom where people can come and ask questions and take a look at their energies and have a conversation. And there's a private Facebook group where people share information.
I love that. Thank you so much for letting us know a little bit more about some of the behind the scenes things that some of people who aren't in your groups may be unaware of.
Oh, let me mention,
go ahead.
It's taught with Stephanie Getz. I don't want to leave the other co-teacher out who works with the moon manifestation and that. So
beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Now, it's been a really interesting week for myself. I've been doing some things, and in that process, really kind of honing in to the infinite abundance that's all around us. When I talk about infinite abundance, it's not necessarily about finances. It's about so many different things that are coming to us that are empowering us. And in that process, I was doing some writing in my morning pages the other morning. And what was channeled through me in that writing was that there was something about weathers and the seasons and how they have this frequency and possibly an underlying song to them. And I carried on this conversation this morning in my own community, Empowering the Healer Within community, of which Kitty is graciously going to be offering, or is offering, on the 1st of every month, a beautiful monthly flow of energy, understanding what this month's energy is going to be like. So she's starting out on January 1st. It's going to be about the 1st of every month. So there's another reason to hop on board into that community, the Empowering the Healer Within community. It's a paid membership as well. But in that call this morning, collaboratively, we got onto this beautiful conversation, and storms and storm energies came up, and working with our personal self, our personal storm energy, and then even going further out into the storm energy even further. So maybe tell us a little bit about what's coming up with regards to storms, or your take from the astrological point of view of where we're shifting from 2021 into 2022.
So this end of 2021 has really been about looking at your truths, looking at what you need to release, a very big karmic piece of this. And we're getting ready to make this overall shift in 2 ways. The world is making a shift into this determination of stability, how we want to proceed from here. We've all learned new things about our life and what we want the world to be. And we've seen a great divide, too, about what that looks like, and people happy about it, people not so happy about it, and kind of this turmoil. And we're moving into this ability to try to stabilize that, and looking at away from this fear of change and stepping into this change. And it's a wonderful, we've kind of properly come into the age of Aquarius, where we're talking about the greater humanitarian, and it comes in epiphanies, guys. Aquarius is all about things just pop in. And we are moving also, though, especially in the United States, into some storms. There are some storms coming. It doesn't mean that I'm not here to scare you, but it's real. It's a struggle about letting go of fears. It's a struggle about transformation. It's a struggle about the chaos that comes into that. And so that we need to be aware that what we hold in the light is what we're going to create. And so we have Pluto. So Pluto makes its way around the map every 238 years, depending from whatever chart you're working from. And in the United States, we are coming to this big Pluto return. And what a Pluto return about is, it's Pluto and Pluto changing. And it's all about change and transformation. And the last time we were in it, guys, was the Revolutionary War. So it is about the power of the people stepping up. It is about what is it we want to change. And it's not necessarily that we all have the same idea. So therein is part of the storm that is coming. And here if we're working on our awakening, what is the energy you want to hold in the storm? We had an amazing call this morning talking about what storms are, and we can, you know, we are the storm. What energy are we going to step into to hold? And while the storm rearranges, and it happens to be in the area on a chart that's the second house, which is the house of values, which is the house of money, which is the house of those kind of very physical things, instability that can scare us if they start to shift. And so it's going to be a turbulent time, but there's great awakening in turbulence. So it's a change in the life as we know it, a death, because it's about Pluto. But what is it we want to see as we rebirth? What is the transformation we want to hold?
So I want to take that a little bit further, because what became really apparent as we were talking about storms, and like I said, how it became obvious to me, it was channeled through me, that seasons and weather have a frequency and a vibration to them. And then when we got into this further conversation in the group call, the Empowering the Healer Within community, we recognized that it even went further than that. It went into the months, the days, and then again, like you just said, taking that down to that personal level, and really recognizing. So what Kitty's bringing to us is, it's helping us to flow through the energy, because we're all empaths. Whether you know you're an empath, whether you don't know you're an empath, every single person on earth is an empath, because we are literally all affected by the energy that is around us. However, I think a lot of us really miss out on what the energy is that is actually affecting us. And more often than not, we always think that it's somebody's energy, but it's even more than that. The conversation came up around how, it feels like a Tuesday kind of day, or it feels like a Friday kind of day. Oh, I thought it was Wednesday. So there was that energy of what that day of the week has. A month, like coming into April, that month has a certain type of frequency, because it's that April showers bring May flowers, right? I think that's how the phrase goes. Or is it March showers bring April flowers? No, it's April, May. Right? So it's really starting to understand how all of those are coming in. Then we're dealing with the full moon and the new moon, and now we're dealing with the planets and stuff and like this type of thing. So honing in and really starting to understand this in a bit more clear level. Like at first it feels like, holy cow, how on earth am I walking this earth? Because there's so many things bombarding me. And then on the other hand, it's doing things like what Kitty and I are doing. Okay. We each have our own beautiful communities. We each cross mingle back and forth between our communities. We share this space. We give information. We empower the people that are in our groups so that they understand what's going on. So you want to just kind of dive into that a little bit?
Well, one of the things as I'm sitting there, because they're talking to me, which I find while I'm live a little harder. So one of the things is, let's look at what a storm is. A storm is air, which is our intellect. That's our thoughts. A storm is water. That's our emotions. A storm often, obviously, is energy. That's that fire energy, our elemental piece. And it usually is affecting the earth, our stability, why we're here. And so it's all of those very elemental pieces that we are going to be dealing with on all different levels. And to become aware of them, to become aware of how you deal with them and what space it is you want to create becomes vitally important on how I face the storm. I love the fact, by the way, somebody this week said, I got a buffalo for you. So I laughed when I got your thing. How they face the storm. That's what they do. They use their strength to face the storm. And how we prepare for storms often affects the outcome. Whether we know they're coming or whether we don't. And so you're right. This is why we're having the conversations, because it doesn't matter that we have these kind of, the word that's coming is arbitrary, but these small divides between our groups. The goal is the same. That's why we cross platforms. It is how we're here to help each other, because we're holding this space for a bigger collective. Now, even beyond there in the stars, we have something called the Great Attractor out there that is actually pulling our entire universe, our entire Milky Way towards it. We don't even know what it is. And that is such an analogy for our life. We don't know what it is that we're being pulled towards, but we go with faith. The Great Attractor. What is it that we are looking at? And if you Google the Great Attractor, there's all kinds of really interesting information about it. And Laniakea, our bigger solar system that we've been able to, our big galaxies of galaxies, that are out there. And my Galactic Shaman friend is very aware that there are many more people visiting us in that kind of unseen, and it doesn't mean they're not going to eventually be more dense so that we can see them. But part of that, I think, is the more we move up, the more we're able to see that energy. And why would we be alone?
Exactly.
I mean,
So
the odds would be so against us to be alone that there's a reason for this incarnation that we have.
yeah. Well, and I think it's really important to truly recognize that it's in the coming together that we actually stand in more power. Yes, really kind of stepping into the energy. And I'm going to put this other banner up here because I think this is really important as well. Is really kind of stepping into the energy first of all with this, like I am taking care of myself, using that as a mantra, because when you take care of yourself, when you start to understand what's happening around you, that ripple effect that you're being bombarded by becomes more manageable. It truly does. I often speak about this creating a beautiful pink bubble around myself. And I'm going to give you an example that I used this morning in the call, the group call, is I created this beautiful pink bubble around myself. So each could be doing that. And then you create another pink bubble outside of that that has the chaos of your own personal life inside. And then you create another pink bubble that's even deeper or wider outside of that has all of the kind of like all the storms that you're in the vicinity of. And it's amazing how just in doing that, you take care of yourself, but you're also giving each of those places this beautiful love and light coming in because of the pink bubble effect, right? So what's your take on how we how we work with that storm energy?
Well, I am taking. It was funny because we were doing that this morning, and I kept stopping. I am taking care, and then it's all the levels: myself, my community, we are the ripple. So if I am taking care, that's the space and the energy I hold. And so we talk about coming from that place of love, and pink being the high heart. When you look at chakras, if we can take and hold that space, we know that that's a higher vibration that ripples farther. And I don't mean better or worse higher. It means when you hold that, it reaches more. And they've done studies of what sadness, which is the HZ that it holds in the vibrational currency, and they know that sadness are much more dense, and they only reach this way. And the way sometimes people portray the world is, oh, it's a bad place, and the reason why is because that denseness is close. But if the higher vibrations actually ripple much farther. They're able to measure. They go farther and farther and farther out. And so when we hold that is what we're reaching, is farther in the unseen, and that is felt. And boy, that was really very powerful today. You could feel the shift. I could feel it like settling, and so I take care, myself, my space, my world, all of those things, and I can see it as a column. When I take care, exactly, throw the pebble in and it ripples.
Yeah, beautiful. I just want to share what Maria, one of our community members, she's in both of our communities, shared. Yes, togetherness is the new world, the way to go and create. It's really powerful. And it is, we are co-creating. I write in my morning pages all the time about being the creator, but I also write in there when one of my community members brought it up to me that, we're actually co-creators. And that's what we are doing here. We are co-creating so that each of you has a better understanding of the energy and how it's affecting each of you. Yeah. So let's further the conversation. Where do you want to head off with this, Kitty?
Sandra and I, we're actually a very good example of co-creating. We, once in a while, one of us writes, "Time to talk," and we meet up because one of us gets information, and we know that that's about a message. And I think if there's anything we've given each other is, which was many things for me especially, is that ability to follow the nigglings. Time to do it, time to do it. And it's so important that we all start to do that with each other in that co-creation. We need to reach out. Not only is no man, it's so funny because we're saying I'm taking care of myself and I'm not an island, and everything lives in that duality. But when I take care of myself, I can take care of the other people, because that's what ripples out. When I am careful with my words and how I speak, those are the people that I attract to me, and I'm able to stop conversations that might be of a more dense vibration when it could be a much more happy, healing conversation. And there is so much healing that's available, but there's a storm. It's coming. So what you know about yourself is going to be vitally important.
So teach by doing and watch others, I guess, would be two of the things that I got from what you just said there. So 2021 was all about the transformation. 2020 was about being able to see more clearly. 2021 was starting to take everything that we saw in 2020 and start to shift it. And 2022, to me, is about bringing in the balance now. So what words of advice would you give people about how to step into this new year, into 2022? And I know we could make a great big long conversation, but what would be the first and most important thing that you would suggest to somebody?
Exuberance.
That's me.
If I don't say that, exuberance. It's a 6 year. It's that exuberance. It's that 2 sets of 3 synthesize. So you're right. It's exactly about balance. It's a very galactic number. So I think there's a lot of things coming to be seen. 2020 was focusing the vision. 2021 was taking the steps in trust that I saw something, and 2022 is the exuberance of go for it. This is my life. Carrie Farmer said it beautifully this morning. Time to let go of victimhoods, that I have a role I have to play, all of those things, and authentically be exactly who you are. And that's how we step forward with that exuberance, that piece there, and be willing to receive. That would be the biggest thing. We sometimes get in our own way of receiving by doing, and sometimes just receive. Be happy. Hold the space you want to see.
I think that's probably one of the most powerful things that I ever heard, was when I heard somebody say you need to be open to receive. Because I think a lot of people don't even realize that, when they're putting out all their desires out there, etc., that you actually have to be in that place, not just of gratitude, but being open to receive. Very, very powerful. I mean, I think that's why, as I'm going through this week, it's been unfolding the way it has. I mean, I reached out to you just kind of out of the blue, all these things just kind of, well, I think you reached out to me, I reached out to you, whatever, however it worked out. Anyway, we come together because there's things going on that we really are being asked to look at. So one of the things, my biggest suggestion for everybody going into this new year is, if you're not journaling, if you're not writing things down, I definitely ask you to start to do that. You're being guided to do that by the divine source, because the information that comes naturally through the pen, the more you actively start to write down your desires, like vision books or what have you, or vision boards, cutting out pictures, whatever, all of these things are creating this shift in the frequency, a shift in the energy. And when you start to write, if you are an active writer, like for me to write what I did about the weather and the seasons having a frequency, and then 2 minutes before our group call this morning, I got on and I looked it up, and bam, NASA actually had something that said specifically about the frequencies, and I had no idea. It came out of the blue. But it's because I'm writing things down. It's because I'm not necessarily asking the questions, but I'm allowing whatever wants to come through me come out on the paper. And some people are really hesitant about journaling because, somebody might see it. Then write it and burn it.
Hmm.
Get rid of it. You don't have to. And it's so funny because I was in a store the other day and I actually saw this journal, and it said exactly that on it: write it and burn it. This journal is for writing and burning.
Well, that's so interesting because I am a believer too. Whether it's journaling, vision boards, um, even if you don't physically write it, if you, as long as you stop for the day and speak it, do one of the senses to it. Just the time alone to focus has you looking. I mean, one of the things I can say in the intention work that we've been doing, and I added a writing component for me, is just stopping to pay enough attention and realizing that when I speak something, my intention, and I write it down and I concentrate on it, it doesn't always come. I've limited sometimes the way I think it's going to come, and then all of a sudden, boom, it shows up in a wholly different way that I would have never imagined because I let it go. As a matter of fact, when you write your new moon intentions, you burn them on the full moon. You let them go. And then see what comes to you in the next couple of weeks to help you either, if it came to fruition, great. If it needs to be fine-tuned and tweaked, then you get more synchronizations. I so agree. Taking the time to stop, focus before you keep walking.
Yeah. So we are going to talk a little bit more, but if anybody has any questions, please feel free to write down your questions in whatever feed where you're following us, be it on my business page, be it on my in the group Soulful Empowerment. We definitely have a number of communities between the two of us, and I know that Kitty has just highlighted a couple other names with you, and they each, I believe, have their own communities in their own right, and we actually collaborate with some of them in beautiful, magical ways as well. So there's definitely a number of communities where you can step into the energy of support in whatever manner you're looking for. And that's kind of what I believe this whole shifting of the energy is really all about. Is, we keep hearing, oh, you're supported, we're supported, you're supported, we're supported. However, it's now really starting to understand that because we're starting to actually understand how supported we are starting to see more of the layers. Just like I said, suddenly this morning, understanding the frequencies, and really taking a step into, okay, you know what? If this is what's showing up, I want to explore that a little bit more. Like Kitty just said, stop and take a moment, take a look at it, set an intention if you like. I know we've heard the phrase "don't set intentions anymore," but I mean, we have to set something to get something, right? Go ahead, Kitty.
Well, and it doesn't look the same for all of us.
Yeah.
Believe in that you are in the law of attraction. You are attracted to what you need. If we have a mutual member that is putting together something on shadow work. If you're drawn to shadow work, it doesn't mean I have to say yes or Sandra says yes. It means that's what, trust that intuition that you're going. I am personally right now looking a lot at my own language. If it's all right, I can share a little aha for my intention.
Yes.
One of the things I was looking at this month, because of the way my chart is, there's a house that brings the unconscious to the conscious. It's called the House of Secrets. It's the 12th house. And I was realizing that I had a lot of things on this house. So I was just stepping into the intention of, let me pay attention as the unconscious comes conscious and take an action for it. And I do, like many people have their own mantras. I use a lot of Sandra's, but I have a little song thing that I've talked about that I wrote for myself. And one of the words I was using was the word merciful. And it was actually in Carrie Farmer's group. Hey, Carrie. Where all of a sudden it came to my consciousness that merciful for me was more of a feudalism term, and it was about more of a God that punishes, because they can give mercy. What I really wanted was forgiveness and compassion. Very different than mercy. Mercy, there was a piece that was very deeply looking at beliefs, and that's another thing we'll be looking a lot at 2022. The belief that I have to beg for mercy versus I really want compassion, kindness, and forgiveness. And that was a huge awakening for me. Like, oh, wait a minute, there's that unconscious coming forth. So it is that paying attention all of a sudden that brings those epiphanies that are happening for people. Yeah.
So I want to tell you, okay, this right here is how Kitty and I work. Okay, so Kitty just said something about, shifting from that mercy and that begging kind of aspect into something else. Well, I can tell you that quite recently, I too was listening to another person, a beautiful shaman in her own right, and she was talking about how shamans, when they first walked the earth, were very much about begging. We sit on our knees, we beg our guides to help us, we beg our guides to do this, we beg and beg and beg and plead. Well, now the energy has shifted so much, or the energy and the vibration of the earth has shifted so much. So just to give you guys some beautiful hope, we are no longer being asked to beg our guides for help. We can. There's nothing wrong with begging our guides for help, because I know I have begged for help with my dad when we thought my dad was dying in 2016. And we are now being asked to actually ask our guides to walk with us, to show us, instead of that, here's our guides way up here, and here we are way down here. We're really being asked to share that platform, share that space way more evenly with them, walking together. And it's a really powerful place. I'm going to use my morning pages because I really am driving home, the importance of writing. I write in my morning pages, how may I be a beacon for others? How may I be a beacon for the greater good? One of the things that comes through is I am the guide. Well, if I am the guide, then I honestly have to believe that I am on par with all the other guides. Kitty, she's a beautiful one of my guides. I can name off other people in my community that I feel are my guides. They also walk very closely with the bears, the jaguars, the angels, the ascended masters. It's all seen on par, even though we may have been taught that they are way up here and untouchable. They would much rather walk among us and aid us in that way. Do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
No, that's incredibly comprehensive and beautiful. Yes, it really is. It is, and you did see how that works, because that makes me think of, that begging. There's nothing wrong with mercy. Mercy is a beautiful thing, but mercy is something I give when I have power over. And that's what they're asking us. We've moved out of that Piscean, Piscean age was very interesting. There's arguments about when the age of Aquarius, age of Aquarius is here. And the Piscean consciousness was this ascended masters, and they came to tell us you don't have to suffer, which was the more dense version of it. We didn't listen so well, but and that's where the begging idea kind of comes from. So as we transcend that, now we're looking at the connection idea. Now, interestingly enough, the lower version of Aquarius, this age of Aquarius, is kind of coldness and separating ourselves, or it's perceived to be. So that's our new challenge. How do I connect and still say my sovereign self? There's our new piece of it. And we can let go. So begging isn't going to work. It makes sense. We are here to walk together. One of my favorite lines from a song is, "And when I reach that moment of mercy, I'll save some mercy for you." So it's more about it being on the same level. Isn't that a beautiful line?
Yeah. I that drove home into my heart space. That was just, that was very heartfelt and very heartfelt coming and heartfelt receiving.
It's one of those things. Even before I was more awakened, that line kept coming back. And when I reach that moment of mercy, I'll try and save some mercy for you. It's about us being even. So it's a beautiful, beautiful line. So
beautiful. Well, there's no questions that come in. Maybe highlight again just a little bit about what your intuition of the soul is, and the optimize your energy with the moon and stars, if you don't mind.
Well, and plus I want to put in my friend Sandra's going to be back on IOTS, but we're also going to do her book in our book club. There it is, a how-to spiritual. And I think it's really important, even if you've been on the awakened path, it's a wonderful book to get, because what it does also help you do is have conversations with other people who are kind of playing with it a little bit. And we all have those people in our life. They want to ask you a question, and they kind of ask you a question, but if you go, they go, ooh, you know, that's our next awakening level, folks, is, you know, how can we gently, kindly, compassionately, there's the word, you know, bring people forth. So I think that that's really important, those conversations of, you know, one of the things that I've also invited Sandra to be a part of is an intuition of the soul. We're going to be talking about ethics. There are ethics that we need to come up with for groups that allow us to hold that higher, that vibrational space, even to take the more dense energies and make them safe, and hold that space. And we're in new territory. We don't really have guidelines. We don't really have. So it's perfect that we're going to do that how-to spiritual book, but also the next level too, for folks that are teachers and have groups. We should have some boundaries, only because we want to support people and continue to make it safe. So I just wanted to make sure because I'm really excited about doing her book. We have some really good books. We are using books this year of people in our group, because we have so many people who've walked this path, who are bringing this forth, and it's really important. So
I love that. Did you want to say a little bit about the Optimize Your Energy with the Moon and Stars again?
Again, Optimize Your Energy is a paid membership where we'll you get a chart reading, you get a moon reading, and then we ask people for about a 6-month commitment. You're welcome to stay longer, because we'll continue, but so that you have enough time to really learn about your chart, learn about how you're using it, and what's happening too is we're having these other group manifestations happening. That's pretty cool. That was an unexpected, just like the pink bubble today, an unexpected vibrational movement, because as we all put it out there, we're all learning a different thing, and then we're creating kind of a group vibe that goes with that. So and if you're interested in it, you can actually email intuitionofthesoul11@gmail.com, and you know, I'll follow through from there. So
beautiful.
So let me ask you.
Go ahead.
What would you say are the top 3 challenges coming for people this next year?
I think that the energy, the traumas of their childhoods, some of the things that they've been working through in 2020 and 2021 have really allowed them to have some really major stuff start to unfold in November, December, January, and February. It feels like this 4 months especially is going to be really about where's that little you, what's happened with that inner child, and you know, really understanding that some of the things that we experience as that little you is actually generational. That's what's really coming up. It's not necessarily that I suffered this as a child. It's like, holy cow, my mom or my dad did, and oh my gosh, their parent did, and then it literally goes just like the domino effect back centuries, like quite honestly centuries. So that's what's one of the things, that's one of the big challenges that are coming up right now, is how do I get through that? Truly, I'm going to put up one of the mantras that we both really love to use, and that's that I am love. Take a breath. I am love. Take a breath. I am loving. In fact, let's just do it real quickly instead of me saying take a breath. Sure. Okay. I am love.
I am love.
I am loved.
I am loved.
I am loving.
I'm loving.
I am lovable. And I love me.
My favorite one that Sandra taught me is I am the person my soul sees me as being.
You know, I love that.
That's one of my absolute favorite. You know,
I know,
especially when I'm feeling like this, I am the person. You know.
Yeah, very, very powerful. So number one was like you just asked, what are 3 things? So essentially that energy of that little you is coming up. As Kitty has already mentioned, limiting beliefs are really going to be coming in and smacking you in the face. And you know what? That's really going to be very evident, especially if you have any of those God fearing type of religions versus the God loving religions. So have faith that all of us are here to support each and every one of you, whatever that looks like, whatever you need, because there is a better way than to be in the energy of those old limiting beliefs of being a God-fearing person. There's so much more that's being offered out there, and we would love to open your hearts to that and whatever that looks like. So those are those really I think are the two big ones, and just being aware of triggers. You know about the triggers so that you know what's going on. Go ahead, Kitty. You wanted to add something?
What I want to add to that is, I think this is my prediction, but they're kind of telling me this because they won't be quiet until I say it. I love my guides. They are just like me. Keep going. So I think that one of the things, both of those things that you talk about, I predict that this year we will find the science that helps us understand that our DNA carries these scars. This is physical. There's a reason we're in this, going back to that dynamic conversation. I'm having so much brought to me about understanding this is dynamic, this is real, this is not a head conversation, this is also a body, that in our DNA those traumas are carried forth. Those beliefs, the traumas that come from those beliefs have been there, not just enculturated, but they're actually are, part of us, and that the science as it moves forward will bring us the ability to measure that more and more and more. And they're looking at those things. If you go out there and you read about sound healing and you read about the actual physical pieces of it, it is merging together. If you haven't read the Celestine Prophecy, they continually talk about how science was coming back to prove, to get rid of the, and there goes your second part, the beliefs that are not true, that are more oppressive. This is a year of receptive and expressive. It is about the balance for this year.
So I kind of just want to wind up with saying, whether you find that the energy of what myself, I was going to say Sandra, obviously I was channeling there for a moment. Whether you resonate with myself, whether you resonate with Kitty, we bring the same things in a total different manner. And there are multiple people out there who are like us, doing things for the highest good, for the most benevolent reasons, and the greatest good of all. And if we're not yours, and you find others that are, that's all that matters. That's all that matters is we're really committed to you finding the people you resonate with that are for your highest good. Because when we step into empowering each other in that form, it no longer becomes about me standing, with force, where it is about getting that power. And there's a distinct difference between us coming together collaboratively like this and being a powerhouse group versus me saying, well, this is the way it's going to be, which is a forceful situation.
And that is so important, Sandra, because you become the force yourself, and keeping your ability to look at your beliefs and your truths and not impose them on people is part of this amazing journey together. And this is about trusting yourself too. If somebody doesn't resonate with you, you don't have to figure out why. It's not about they're this, they're that. If what I say doesn't resonate with you, that's fine. Find what resonates with you, and actually that's a great measurement. If it resonates with you without having a judgment about what doesn't resonate with you, then that really is truly being led, because it doesn't matter how the message gets to you. It's important that the message gets to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. This has been a really magical conversation. Kitty and I love getting together. This is the type of conversations the two of us have when we're off camera together.
Oh yeah.
So
really.
So we're just bringing it to you live is all we're doing.
This is what we do. We check in and find your soul sisters out there. Find people that you can talk to. I have teachers. I have colleagues. There are people that I go to, but I really am understanding we're all on that same level. We really are. Um, you know, you can take the stars out of your eyes because the stars are in here. You really are ready for your own journey. And thanks for walking me home. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sandra, for being my buddy, walking me home.
Well, and I just want to finish up with that bit too. Is I remember one of my friends saying, "Oh, I can hardly wait to see you when you're there," and I'm like, "No, you're going to be walking with me." Because that's what it's all about. What we're doing this together.
Yes, we are.
Thank you, everybody. I
Thank
love you,
you.
Kitty.
I love you too, Sandra. Aloha oi. Till we meet again.
Ciao.
Ciao.